yeah, 12 people, that's great. Ann Forbes just added last night, she had a story happened to her yesterday.
Really?
Yeah.
She's gonna come?
Mm-hmm.
Susan, what are you talking on?
Oh, my experience working in a hunting camp. I think I should do a trigger warning. Should I do a trigger warning?
About,
Well, it's about hunting and killing
oh,
animals.
that's fine,
No.
yeah. We've seen hunting and killing humans.
True, 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 true. Alright, good. Lucy, are you doing one today too?
Nope. I did one. the
She's
first
my
time.
timer
Good.
extraordinaire.
I don't really have a story per se, just vignettes. Is that okay?
Just fine. Good. You're,
How are you? How are you two feeling?
shitty.
Shitty.
Well, at lunchtime, I was
Oh,
here all
no.
morning and set up, went home, I just ate
You do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Your
what it
knees?
is.
Because it's coming
Oh,
up
you
from the
ached
knee.
everywhere?
Sorry?
You ached everywhere?
Yeah. I've been aching in my left arm since spring, but today I was just aching all over.
Oh, God.
I'm going to the masseuse tomorrow,
Good.
and then I have my pre-op exam tomorrow.
Oh, God. It begins. Okay, those are
Non-noisy.
Yeah, good.
You wanna do some bigger ones?
Sure.
or-
So do you think we'll have a good crowd today, or do you
I
think
talked to a
they're
bunch of
super
people who
bold?
are coming.
Yeah.
You know, it's cold, so some of the older ones might not, and there's a concert at St.
Oh,
Anne's.
yeah, that's
and
right.
So there will be people going to that. But, Joan said, well, come on over afterward.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
I think there was something else going on today too, in town. I don't know, but the library looks pretty busy.
Oh, I was just at the library for a tea party, book, book thing with Don Hafner and
Oh, cool.
it was interesting. Well, that bag serves a lot of people.
Yes. Did you get this as omelet?
I did.
Can you believe,
Pretty good.
Is
that the country pizza is closing?
What a shock.
We need to do something about,
I'm gonna see Jeff McGill tomorrow and see if,
Good.
but that's tough to have all those 3 restaurants down there, and Donald's, because Donald's does sandwiches too.
so getting somebody else in, you mean?
Yeah, even though he is technically nearby, he's not in your face nearby. That's really
Well, no,
tough.
we've got plenty of those.
Okay.
No, we don't need more of those.
Yes, ma'am.
You got it? The dipping is a good idea.
Yeah, the artwork is nice.
This doesn't look like it's on.
Look at my phones.
So we don't have an AV person, so RL's gonna do his best and he knows how to start.
We're actually live right now.
We are?
Yep.
Okay.
Hi. Hi, everybody. It just seems so crazy to me. There was such hoopla about building the Stearns Room with the neighbors, you know? And look at it, I mean, it's so much better.
I know.
It's not in their face at all.
No, not at all.
I don't know. I know.
else doing it too. I'm not sure what.
Well, I'm gonna have to be something for you
I
here.
know, be exciting.
And,
Well,
I'm going down on the 20th or 21st.
Cody's?
And, Randall had me go.
Apparently it's Bobcat in my
In
neighborhood.
Florida, on the 8th.
Fisher Pets.
By himself. He's driving to Virginia by himself.
I actually went and woke up my son who's our nature boy.
And then. And he said,
And he said,
and then he's, then somebody's meeting her.
It does sound like it's going to fly. Oh my God, no.
No, it's about life in Labrador.
He's not dead. It was,
Or else
it's absolutely
he was,
prosperous.
but
Now he's driving.
I know, literally.
Sarah, we don't have an
He's
agent.
unbelievable.
It is unbelievable.
Wow.
So,
So, you don't have an AV person? Yeah, I'm gonna go to Brooklyn, see the babies.
we have no Chris, no Sarah, so we have a button to push to start
Like,
the thing, but our outfit is like.
well, yeah, I mean, I'll just go from
Oh,
one.
they live near each other, that's
They live
right,
near each
that's
other.
right, they're both in New York.
They're both in Brooklyn, and I'm just staying at my niece's
Worked in
house.
Labrador. Did he do it with the?
QLF?
Yeah.
Do you know
In
My
Brooklyn,
great grandfather founded that.
closer to
Grenfell?
Grenfell Mission.
No way.
Yeah.
Well, that's all his talk is
Oh my
about.
God.
So Bob Ryan,
Ah.
who was Bert, of Bert and Ryan, as our eldest is co-pilot.
God.
Don't talk to me about that.
Did you hear
back way.
Oh.
And you know what? And he was also a good friend of, Barbara O'Neill's mother, Brenda.
My great grandmother founded Grenfell.
Really?
Yeah, he was the head of the Anglican church.
Diocese? Talk to the Anglican diocese, priest, that will work on that.
Very well, thank you.
Very neat. I figured that'd be it.
I love it.
I don't mind it, though, don't mind it, it's warm.
Completely in my
So
dinner.
remember, if you're here, oh yeah, that's right, that's at a creek.
We should have a thing where everybody tells the bad side.
So she can't set it up remotely, can she?
No, it's just, I have to know what to turn off right now.
Slave ship. Phyllis Wheatley.
You might wanna
The computer has control of that. And I don't know how to tell it to let go, so I can,
worry about
Oh.
We've been lucky with both houses that fit,
Huh.
insulated.
So where should I sit? I mean,
I mean, where do you want to sit? Just over where somebody has a good sight line of you.
yeah.
That's all.
You did?
On the end is probably the best, because you're, and it's like, oh, I think that's a good spot. Well, up to you.
Was that a burst pipe? That's the
But she did have a birth pipe, no, last week, her dishwasher started on its own. And then, for some reason, a pipe burst, the line reading from the water into the dishwasher. And she went, relative who, and noticed that the dishwasher was spewing out water. And then she went into her basement and her ceiling was on her washer and dryer. Oh my gosh. Oh, so, anyway. Where did she live?
Of course, now all that,
Right off Mass Avenue, right off the Main Street. Just outside of the center. But we found this great guy who's making all of the repairs. Oh my gosh, he's a handyman.
That's awesome.
Does she like Lexington? She does, yeah. She doesn't spend a lot of time there.
and what state?
let me tell you what we said, what we said this afternoon out in our
So the
backyard.
Hollingsworths were at the corner. The
They're
brick,
really young
everybody's just
couple.
coming along there now.
Oh, right there.
They're huge. Yes, the one in our neighborhood.
It's the big house on the other side of, Sandy Pond. Oh, yeah.
She was on the,
They're not the,
You know I am.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's like, it's because I'm old. And you know, I get up there and can't remember one thing, you know?
Notes or no notes, yeah, I also feel the timing, since you really need to get first, so we don't get.
I can think of one.
Yeah, you have the hooker to be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'll make put these table cloths
Yeah.
that I made ages ago.
So have you ever seen
oh, she said cabaret, she likes to sing that cabaret.
Yeah.
And she, we also did, you gotta put one foot in front of the other.
Nice to meet you. Yeah. I know you've never heard my voice, because I don't usually go big things in the choir, but I'm doing it for fun. Oh, yeah, they have, in the choir, that's true. Oh, that's true.
Do we go live? People can dial in.
We're live already.
We're already live.
Oh, good.
Thank you, I meant to look.
Yay, that's great. That's fun, it is. Yes,
I just came from a talk on the Boston Tea Party. Is this it? It looks so small.
Yeah, I think I've been. Oh, yeah. Yeah, don't shout it, we were just at the, I know.
I've got a daughter on the top. Yeah.
Okay.
I watched the Simpsons.
I know that he said it was good, but I didn't know he yeah, I know.
I know. I think I gave a drink.
Hey, sir. Am I here?
Lindsay said the thing donated
Yeah, no, you'll have fun now, no matter what. Maybe if I want to, a miracle will happen.
Do you want to sit up front?
No.
I'm gonna probably sit here.
I don't see where Tony
Or you can sit. Yeah.
I mean, it's your choice. I normally wear,
That's LLV.
this is your friend.
This is a good friend. Punchy. Here's Tony. Yeah.
No, they don't. Oh, yes. That's right. It's really I don't want to hate you.
You're Mr. Smith. Hello. Well, it would be better if this thing would work.
Figure out why.
But really,
I know.
I see a line of people
HDMI too?
stepping up
it will be when I restart my.
and setting the pace.
Trying to channel very good stuff.
Ah, there you go.
What you think?
Double.
Exactly how I
That I can actually read.
shake hands.
When did I click on your display setting?
I don't think it's gonna, no, see, it says no signal.
Yeah, I know.
When I did display, I almost saw that one thing. I don't get any other option. It shows the tower's off, it's not seeing the power, it has a certain button there.
You know, a lot of people join. That was one of those things where and now we actually.
What's going on here, Tony? This is our wired kind of system that goes broadcast out. So when I show what we're doing, it says it's exactly okay. That's swell, but I can't do that. So we have this little splitter there.
To see if they're already on set. Probably not gonna ask.
And it has a red light there, but when I do that, with this screen,
Yeah, she wanted me to.
so now I'm looking at that. I'm still looking at yeah.
Sarah?
I'm still looking at them.
HDMI too?
Yeah, it's HDMI too. It's only one HDMI, but it's not recognizing my machine. Pure and simple. It doesn't have a power button. So unless this thing is plugged up,
They like give it prior years. Yeah, I should listen again to the one that's
I did my friends that Seat okay? Okay here? Yeah.
I just have to remind myself that it looks
Yeah.
grab a cookie before it's too late.
Yeah, you better be sure.
Thank you for coming out tonight.
I'm a purple lover. No.
You'll never see it there. You'll get to see it. For 20 minutes. A presentation.
Just, it's filming.
Tucker? Little preface, right?
Those are JoJo's. They're really good. The mint Oreos, right? Yeah. Chocolate covered mint Oreos.
I just wouldn't put it past you.
Well, thank
Except
you.
there's no baking involved.
Thank you.
There's a lot of.
So I only started working on this on Monday afternoon. I mean, I just went to the ATM.
I didn't say yes. She said on the list and my name was on it. So she asked.
Where's my adapter?
I mean, I couldn't say
USB-C. It's the only one I got. The other one's a good one. What?
Oh, I'm so glad. Jenny Meyer, yes, they fight over which is better weekend. Oh, good. My goodness, yeah. Oh, this is Last time after 1 minute, I said 1 minute.
Speaking. Fine, thank you very much.
Yay. Support.
It's nice to be able to see people coming down, huh? It's nice to be able to see them coming.
Right there.
Okay, I think we'll get started. It's a big day in New England, so I want to get you home in time.
What's happening?
I think it's the Red Sox are playing. Good afternoon. Good afternoon to all of you. As I said in church today, this is the Super Bowl of Zip Talk Learn. We have 12 speakers today, and it's very exciting to get everybody out on this freezing cold day. After holding Zip Talk Learn now for 8 years, and this being, we're hitting our 175th speakers, it's really hard to think of something new to say, because most of you have come to every single one of those for 8 years. So I kind of feel like Milton Berle, who once said, "I feel like Zsa Zsa Gabor's sixth husband. I know what I'm supposed to do, but I don't know how to make it more interesting." So I won't go through all the story and the history of Sip Talk Learn because you all know it by now, but it's a real challenge for people to get it down to 3 minutes. So we're going to be as patient as we can, and if they go over a little bit, so be it. But in a way, it's the 3 minutes that makes it special, because you have to get all the meat into those few seconds. Our next Sip Talk Learn will be March 8th, a month from today. And anyone who's interested in speaking, I would love to hear from you now, because I want to get it booked up. I will not be here a month from today. I will be recovering from knee surgery. So RL will be our MC in March, but we hope to have a full complement of speakers at that time. So if you're inspired today, give me your name for a month from now. We do not have an AV person today. Chris could not be here, so RL has turned us on, and hopefully we're good to go. So hopefully all of you at home are able to hear us and see us. Let's see, I think that's all I need to report. There's plenty of food. I went a little light on the food today, knowing you probably would be eating again at 6:30 during the Super Bowl. So, but feel free to get up and help yourself. We're going to start today with Elida. And the way it works, as you all know, she'll introduce herself, and she can give a little bit of an intro to her talk, and then she'll do her talk, and there'll be a chance for questions afterward.
So alert me when you're done with your intro.
Okay, will do. So, Elida Zweidler McKay, I've been a member of the church now for a little over a year, excited to be here. This story is a memory of my dad. So my parents were both big storytellers. Anything that happened in our lives became a story. And this was one of the favorites that they would trot out at every single dinner party, often to the same people. It's a little strange, but the title is An Unlikely Start to a Beautiful Friendship. So here we go. Before Sylvester Stallone embodied the character, my parents had the original Rambo. Their Rambo was a sheep, but like Stallone, he was a tough guy, and he made them laugh. There was the time Mom heard calling from the yard, "Mrs. McKay, Mrs. McKay, Mrs. McKay, help, will you please call off your sheep?" From the propane delivery guy who was stuck on top of the tank as Rambo pawed the ground beneath him. And there was the time when Mom positioned Grandma at the door of the barn, giving her a bell to ring in case Rambo left the barn so Mom could go pick blackberries. Well, Dad came home and saw Grandma standing there with the bell and said, "What you doing?" And when she told him, he took the bell and rang it hard and laughed like crazy when Mom came flying up out of the pasture to get away from the sheep. But all jokes were off when Rambo butted Dad over the fence. "That's it," he said. "Rambo has got to go. It's time for him to hit the slaughterhouse." Mom cried and pleaded, and finally Dad said he'd give her a week to find Rambo a new home. So my mom drove around the countryside, up and down these country roads, until she found a field with sheep in it and a farmer on a tractor. And she got out of her car and walked up to the farmer and said, "Do you want a ram?" And his English wasn't very good, so he wasn't quite sure what she was saying. She said, come with me. And he climbed into her car, and she drove back to the farm with him. And when they got to the barn, he walked right into the pen with Rambo, and Mom said, "Be careful, he's mean." And he said, in his very thick Slavic accent, "Oh, he's not mean, he just needs a girlfriend." So the farmer came back with his sons, and they bundled that sheep up into the trunk of their big old 1970s car, and they took him home with them. So a few weeks later, Mom decides she's going to go visit Rambo, see how her little sheep is doing. So she drove over to the farmer's place, and she knocked on the door, and she said, "I just wanted to see how Rambo was getting along." And they said, "Oh, he was mean, so we ate him." No, that's not much of a love story for this Valentine's Day. Except that there is a silver lining, which is that family became very dear friends of my family's. And by the time I was born, they were thick as thieves. And Sophie was apparently the only person who could get me to stop crying. And Mika would feed my dad peppers, swearing they were not hot. And of course they were very hot. And Dad, like Lucy, would grab the next pepper just to try it. But always they were hot. So anyway, they became very good friends.
Oh, nice.
Any questions? I can't imagine.
You have the recipe?
Well, I will say they did have us to plenty of lamb roast.
Mike's not working.
This mic
It doesn't seem to be.
They just gotta put it up towards their mouth.
Or else hold it closer. Oh, was I not?
I'll get people lined up when they get up there.
Kiss it.
Yeah, you gotta kiss it, right.
You should be able to turn it up a bit.
Well, what do you do with
You know what to do.
You know what to do, Miranda. Yeah, well, just take it right up to your mouth. There you go, dear. Yeah.
Whoops.
Further.
Hold on.
There you go. Yeah, it's
No pressure.
yeah.
How's that? Okay. I have a little multimedia preamble to set the mood and the stage of my story. You'll recognize this. So that is an example of something called a walking bass line, which is, it's tough for organists to play this hymn because you have to watch your feet as you're playing all the different verses and pulling out the stops and everything, and the feet are constantly in motion. So, okay, you can start the timer. Okay. So I've always had a gentle spot in my heart for spiders. But only spiders about the size of a dime or smaller. And often I am the reason that they're in the house because they come in on some flowers, which I've cut, and they make an escape from a vase somewhere and go above the bathtub, or they hang out by the sink. And there's something about them that seems very vulnerable and emotional and fascinating to me. And my neighbor told me apparently we are never more than 6 feet away from a spider. And they're always watching us. So I also like to think spiders are optimists about humanity because I don't know if you've had this experience of going to turn on the hose or turning on something where there's a little spider there and it's spinning wildly around in a circle at you. Have any of you seen that? No? Okay, interesting. So I've had that experience many times where I'll be coming up and there'll be a little spider there and it's like, don't hurt me, I'm here, don't hurt my web. And so on All Saints' Day this past November, I launched into playing the introduction to the hymn for all the saints. And this walking pedal line that you heard was very particular for my dad, who passed away about 8 years ago. And he was very musical and very opinionated about music. So he would tell me, Miranda, you have to play that bass line really rhythmically and really steadily. And so as I was playing the introduction, I noticed a spider drop down from the ceiling over the organ and just hang out and hover in front of my eyes for like a minute, just staring at me like this. And I was like, okay, it's probably my dad reincarnated telling me I've got to play the bass line better. And then it slowly dropped down onto the keyboard as I was playing the hymns, and the whole congregation was singing away. And I was like, oh my God, I don't want to crush my dad on the keys. So I was like trying to look down and see where the spider was and avoid him and yet play the hymn. And I managed to play through the hymn without touching the spider, and then after it was over, while everyone was saying the prayers, I took out my iPhone flashlight and I peered under the keybed of the organ to make sure there was no squished spider, aka my dad, under there. So at the end of the hymn, yep, it had disappeared, and I was feeling relieved. And then, strangely, on Wednesday during the staff meeting of that same week, I was sitting up in the library, looking at my computer or whatever, and a spider dropped down from the ceiling and hung out in front of my eyes for like a minute. A very tiny spider, not like a scary-looking spider. And so this set me looking on the internet for the meaning of spiders as messengers and in Native American culture, like what do they mean? And it turns out it kind of depends on the size and the shape of the spider. Like a brown recluse and a tarantula is maybe a little different than a tiny little house spider, but they all are symbols of networking and creativity. And in some cultures, they're considered the weavers of the world. So I think of that verse of "For all the saints, yet all are one in thee, for all are thine." And it's how I like to think of our connection with other animals. We're all from the same source. And if any of you have any other ideas about what it might mean, please let me know. Questions?
Have you always had a fascination with spiders?
I wouldn't say it's like a fascination, it's more like just awareness of their fragility, because they're so small and they take so much time weaving their webs, and they're actually pretty amazing architects, launching their webs to trees for the anchors. And once I did have a garden spider that was about this big build a web in my back door that filled the whole back door, and I did not have the heart to move it or touch it. And so all summer, I would crawl under the web to get inside. So I'm a tender heart, but there are limits. I wouldn't have a spider as a pet, for example, like a large spider. But I did bring a book for those of you who want to see it called. It's all about the messengers, insects as messengers, and it's out of print, but it's a really fascinating book for those of you who are interested in the meaning of small things.
Hello, everyone. I'm Lynn Parrish-Elms. My husband, David, who sadly can't be here this afternoon due to a snow-raking leg fire pit altercation that he had recently. Otherwise, I'm sure he'd be here supporting me. And I joined First Parish about 20 years ago. So my story today was inspired by Lou Lloyd's story that he shared last month, who, if you were here, I'm sure you cannot forget it. It was about the importance of a straight spine and floating in a pool while he was at Yale University. So as Lou talked about this fascination of that era around posture, I noticed that a number of our heads started nodding that we also had posture stories, Barbara O'Neill, that maybe people would be willing to share another time. But it really was a thing as we were growing up. For you, Lloyd, Lou Lloyd. Here is my story about the importance of sitting up straight and how to float in a pool. Okay, so we can start.
Okay.
So I was fortunate in the 1960s and 70s to attend the Spence School, an all-girls school in New York City from kindergarten through 12th grade, except for that 10th grade that I spent at Phillips Academy, Andover, but more on that later. So in addition to the importance of academics and the arts, posture was really a big deal. Each week at the all-school assembly, the girls who had exhibited the best posture that week were awarded a rather large, bright yellow posture bow, which you wore all week on your little tartan jumper uniform until you had to give it back. So if you were fortunate enough to receive 3 bows in a row, you were given the coveted posture bar that you could proudly wear the remainder of the year. So in kindergarten, I figured out that it was Miss Duckett, the Scottish gym teacher, who was actually the judge of, who was figured out who was worthy of these bows. So every time she came around, I sat straight up. I mean, I was on it. So I'm pleased to report that I was the first girl in my class, kindergarten through 5th grade, to receive the posture bar. Okay, so now on to the floating part of the story quickly. So as I said, I attended Andover for the 10th grade, in part because my dad and my 2 male cousins had gone there, so I figured, what the heck. So in order to graduate, you had to pass a drowning prevention test. I mean, there were many swim tests, so this particular one, you had to disrobe underwater, then somehow using your blue jeans and a long sleeve shirt as a floating device, managed to stay afloat for about 10 minutes. So there I was, arms tied behind my back and feet tied, trying to bob up and down for air, sort of like a jellyfish, and you kick yourself up, and there you were. And so problem was, my hair was in a ponytail tucked behind me, and as I went through the exercise, it began to start covering my face, making it rather hard to breathe. So fortunately, after what felt like an eternity of like, help, the gym teachers noticed that maybe I was actually drowning during my swim test and pulled me out of the pool.
Oh my God.
No questions, sorry.
Did you say your hands and feet were tied
Yes.
during this exercise?
Yes, they made you.
So you can't swim, for example?
I'm pretty positive that they wanted to make sure that if your sailing boat had ever capsized and you were caught underneath the mainsail and that your arms and legs were somehow caught, that you wouldn't freak out and that you knew how to survive. But I love the part you would actually take off your flannel shirt and your blue jeans, tie them into a knot, blow air into them as a floating device, and that's how you...
But how are you gonna access them if your hands are tied?
Oh, it was, yeah,
It didn't make sense.
exactly, it didn't make sense. It was 50 years ago, so this is the best of my recollection of how horrific this was. So, yeah, there you go. Thank you.
So put it down.
Just pull it down, pull.
Okay, I'm gonna wing this one.
That's good.
All right, and here's a little prelude. I was 22. I had just graduated from Mount Holyoke in all-women's college. I was a feminist, a vegetarian, and I probably spoke to whales. My major was anthropology and archaeology, and I got a summer job with the graduate department at SUNY Binghamton, an archaeology dig in Wyoming. We were tracing Shoshone migration routes through the Tetons. But that's a story for another day. So let's begin. So I had finished the dig and I didn't want to go home. So I didn't know what to do. So I went to the Silver Dollar Bar where you climb up on saddles. Those are the seats for the bar. And I was sitting there thinking, okay, I'll go to the payphone and call Mom and say, I'm headed home. But there was a cowboy sitting next to me and he said, what are you doing? And I said, well, I'm maybe looking for a job or I'm going to head back east. And he asked me 2 questions. Can you cook flapjacks and do you drink a lot? And I said yes and no. And I was hired that day at that moment as an assistant camp cook in Pinky Bonner's Arizona Creek hunting camp. So I called Mom, said I'm not coming home for 4 months and you won't hear from me. So I showed up the next day. He told me to bring my rifle and my saddle. I had neither. So he said, show up at this trailhead the next day and you're on your way to the hunting camp. I showed up. There were about 7 guys. They all had rifles. There were big horses. There were pack mules. And they saddled me up and we went up and we rode up into the Bridger Teton National Forest, which is we were at about between 9,000 and 10,000 feet. And the hunting camp was set up in sort of this area, but there's no permanent structures. There was just one log cabin that we had supplies in. Everything else was a canvas tent, which is great in the summer, but by November it was freezing. And so the cook tent was just a huge, big white tent. I was supposed to be the assistant for Pinky's wife, Linda, But unfortunately, her toddler broke his finger, and she went back home, and I was left up there alone to cook. And I had not really cooked much. So here we are, and I'm thinking, okay, I can do meatloaf, I can do hamburgers, I can do spaghetti. The next day, I was told, you're gonna make elk stew. And I said, I don't know how to make elk stew, but I kept that to myself. So I braised this elk that they had hunted. I had tried to create the stew. Most of the vegetables were from cans. And I said to someone, this stew is not thickening up. It's loose, it's watery. They said, I'll put cornstarch in it. So I put a whole box of cornstarch in there. I didn't know you were supposed to mix it or anything. And oh my God, it was like cement. So I ran down to the creek. I took all the pieces of elk and pieces of vegetables, and I washed them off in the creek, put them back in the pot. And those hunters never looked at me that night when they were eating. They all ate like this. It was horrible. But it was an amazing experience to be up there alone with all men, all the time. We were working about 16 hours a day. That whole fall I had to cook elk, mule deer, bear, Rocky Mountain oysters, fish. And we had camp meat, and the camp meat was hung up in the back, and my job would be to get the haunch of the mule deer and pick out all the maggots, which was aging the meat, and then of course make venison steak or whatever. So it was a wild experience. We had so many different hunters come up, and I can't tell you all the experiences. Maybe next time. We had someone have a heart attack. I had rifle battles with the guys shooting out the numbers in an alarm clock. We had a lot of things happen. Am I at my time?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm at my time. And there was one other thing. I'll save it for next time, but I want to show you one thing. Linda, who was, Pinky's wife and who was the main cook, was so sad that she had left me up there alone and knew winter was coming on, and I really didn't have the proper gear. So she made me this down vest, which is 50 years old now. Wow. And this is like how they used to make down vests. I think she used the stuffing from her couch to make it. So you can come up and feel how heavy it is. But, so when I came back a carnivore. I spoke to mules, and I was a strong woman. Oh, yeah. Any questions? I have to tell you one thing. There's one of the camp jacks, one of the guides. He was a young kid, and he was trying to be so hip and cool. He wanted to be a guide someday, but he wasn't there. They all drank a lot every single night, and he would tell stories when he was in high school. What they loved to do, he and his friends, is they would go to the campgrounds in the Tetons. Everyone was camping out before their hikes. He would gallop through on his horse with his lasso and lasso the tents as they were going on. And one time he lassoed the tent with people in it. So it was wild. Any questions? Yeah. Yeah.
Did you ever feel unsafe with all these guys? Did anyone ever hit on you?
So that's an interesting question. The very first week, one of the guys was wanted for murder or something. I don't know what. He was a really good guy. They never told me exactly. But the first week I realized I had to adopt an attitude. I was either Madonna or a whore, or a loose woman. And so I had to establish those boundaries very early and very on, so that I didn't get into any trouble with the guest hunters or the guides or anybody. You like that story, Rick,
Which
right?
one did you choose?
Oh, well, what do you think? Anyway, any more questions? If you want to have any recipes for venison or bear, let me know.
Would you want Allie to have this experience?
100%. Absolutely. It was the best experience of my life. When I think about the last 50 years of my life, it was definitely a highlight. I loved every single long hour of it. Yeah.
up for this here? All right. I'm Brad Meyer. I was in the choir years ago, haven't been around much in between. But many of you knew my late wife, Melissa. And some of you knew us well, probably knew we had a rather contentious relationship. There was mention of love stories in connection with Valentine's Day, and I realized that there is an extent to which this is a love story, because it explains, among other things, why we were never going to get divorced. So you can start the timer. I'm not going to make it to 3 minutes. Melissa and I, in 1975, in May, were walking with her younger sister, Susie, who was then childless, through what was then the Central Park Zoo. We came out into a clearing, and suddenly I noticed something off to the right and turned my head. And about 70 or 80 feet away was a cage. In the back of the cage was a leopard. And the leopard was staring at the stroller in front of us, which contained my 11-month-old son. And it was absolutely clear that that's what he was looking at. And while I watched him, he gathered himself on the shelf at the back of the cage and crouched down, and went from one back foot to another, the way a house cat does before he's going to pounce on something. And then he launched himself at full speed toward us. He accelerated really fast, so that by the time he got to the front of the cage, he was probably going 25 to 30 miles an hour, and he slammed into the bars, which he apparently had completely forgotten were there, and rose up in this black and yellow wave and fell stunned to the floor of the cage, where he shook his head trying to figure out what the hell had just happened to him. I was frozen for a moment, and then Melissa and I turned in absolute unison toward each other and said to each other in absolute unison, "Did you see that?" Her sister Susie looked quizzically at us and said, "See what?" So I'm willing to entertain questions if there are any. But we were absolutely riveted at this thing that wanted our child. And even though he was way off to the right, we were both just whipped. And we're completely connected to him. I didn't realize until then that I had that instinct, but I saw that I did and that she did too. I don't know if there are any questions. I'm going to tighten this. Okay. Yeah. This is that. This is all right.
Did that make you want to study up on leopard behavior after?
I actually thought I pretty understood that leopard behavior as well as I needed to. I mean, it was absolutely clear that he saw prey. Yes.
Brad, I think it's an interesting story about being a parent, where Melissa's sister was not a parent.
Nope.
So she's not looking.
That's important.
And the two of you being parents, you're just tuned into the safety of your child.
Yes.
In unison. Yes.
Yep. And I think if Susie had, I don't know if Susie had had a kid, whether she would have turned her head, because that wasn't hers.
Right.
But this was definitely ours, and it was definitely under threat.
Yeah. Right. Well, thank you.
Thanks, Brad.
Thank you.
So I'm John Legates. I've been in Lincoln now for 70 years almost. And some of you may remember that the last one of these talks, the last one of last season, I was accompanied by a brother visiting from Illinois and by his daughter, Margaret, who is my niece. And it occurred to me you might be interested in Margaret's story because it's a pretty unusual one. So I threatened Tucker that I would tell 2 stories and might run over, but it's actually 3.
He's my neighbor, I had to let him do it.
I threatened to kidnap her dog. So Imagine Margaret at age 16. She is rather pretty, 4 feet 11 inches tall and 99 pounds, attending a high school in a affluent suburb north of Chicago. And one day she walked into the appropriate office of her high school and said, "I want to join the wrestling team." And they said, "Don't be silly. Wrestling isn't for girls. We don't have a wrestling team for girls." So she threatened to sue them under Title IX. And they became somewhat more flexible, and she became a member of the wrestling team. So that's the point from which the other two stories take off. The first story is that somehow the Chicago Tribune heard about this and sent a reporter out to take a look. And he said, we talked to him afterwards, he said he was expecting a large, tough-looking, aggressive kid, and discover a 4 foot 11 inch, 99 pound pretty girl who was also well-spoken and generally quiet. So he wrote her up. Somehow one of the international news services got a hold of this story, and the next thing you know, it was literally worldwide distributed. And this led to quite a career as a recipient of attention, which along the way produced a couple of good quotes, which I'll pass on to you. So she wound up on national television on something called the Maury Povich Show, I believe. And she was there with her mother and a boy wrestler of her age, and I don't remember whether he had his father with him or his mother, but one of them was. So they asked the boy, "Well, how do you feel about wrestling with girls?" And he said, "It's a really bad idea, because suppose they win." At this point, Margaret's mother piped up and said, "What men have to learn is there's no embarrassment to being beaten by a girl." And that got a lot of attention too in the press. Then she got a whole half-page spread with her picture on Newsweek. And they asked her, "Why did you do this?" Now remember, 4 feet 11. She said, "Because they wouldn't let me on the basketball team." So we go back to the beginning of the other story. That was also the beginning of a career in wrestling. And I called her, or emailed her this week to make sure I got the details right. So what you're about to hear are actually Margaret's own words, as she wrote it back to me. "Ultimately, I was the first girl to compete at the IHSA level, state-sanctioned, first girl to win an IHSA match, all against boys. My entire high school career, I never competed against another female. I then went on to wrestle in the international circuit, taking second at nationals in 1994, a silver medal in the World Championships in Sofia, Bulgaria in 1994. I'm now the head coach of an all-girls team at Normal West High School. We're in our 5th year of girls wrestling being a sanctioned sport, meaning we have our own state series. This year I've been selected to be the Grand Marshal of the girls' state tournament." Wow. So. Any questions?
How old is she?
She's 50, just turned 50. She was 16 when this all
Yeah.
happened.
Is she still 4'11"? Is she still 4'11" or did she grow in age?
Not much over 4'11".
Part of this story that you didn't mention was that she was very good. You do not achieve that kind of level of tournament without being extremely good and fast and aggressive.
That's all really awesome. Although she said she came out about 50-50 wrestling boys. She won half and lost half.
Well, that's a decent ratio.
Obviously relevant to some debates that are going on today about men men versus girls in athletics. The question I will ask for myself is that when she was 16, was this her parents' idea or was it hers? And the answer is it was hers. And they were supportive, but they didn't push her and they didn't help her much. Andy?
Did she ever make comments on the impact on her social life? Were boys interested in dating her?
I asked her once if, from what she could tell, boys wrestled her because they liked feeling her up. She said she didn't think so. I'm not sure how else I would answer
Not
that.
really an opportunity.
Was she a lightweight?
Yes.
You wrestle with your weight.
Right.
Yes, you wrestle against people in your same weight class.
And do women have that too? Do the girls?
I don't,
those weight
I'm sure they do, yeah.
Yeah.
I wrestled myself in high school and it was strictly by, I think it was 5-pound increments or possibly 10.
So she got this from you.
Yeah, maybe you told her to do it. Maybe you told her to do it.
No. Well, it's in a different
It's in
part
the
of the country.
genes. It's an amazing story.
Any more? Okay.
Jimmy Lemire here. Okay, Sarah Cannon Holden.
Oh, yes.
I just have a quick introduction. I'm Sarah Cannon Holden. I have had unique standout experiences with each of my 3 adult children. Today, I will focus on the first such experience, which was with my eldest child, Cornelia, known to some of you as Leah. Time. In her senior year at Bowdoin College, Cornelia received a major grant from the Maine Humanities Council for a black and white photography project, A Century of Craftsmanship in Maine. I was Cornelia's driver for 3 to 5 day trips over a period of 2 years as we traveled to 14 of Maine's 16 counties to visit 28 businesses. The oldest company dates back to 1628. After making contact with the businesses, she set the schedule and we were off. I was the silent observer as she spoke with the owner or president of the company. Ray's Mustard and Bath Iron Works, Hodgson Yachts and Bondell Sales, Forster Wooden Toothpicks, Hodgson Yachts, Forster Wooden Toothpicks, Wyman Blueberries, Saunders Dowels, Old Town Canoe, Wool Yarn, and Pine Clavards. Her questions moved from general to particular. She never pushed, she listened, she heard them. They told of their lives and histories, their challenges and joys. Only after these conversations did she venture to the workroom floor, where from 1 to 100 people were at work. She moved slowly, hoping to get, quote, images of lives at work, not intended to capture anything. Quietly we moved in and then out. Out with lobstermen in the middle of the night, tasting maple syrup and ice cream, business after business. Dreams and disappointments. I was invisible and silent until we were back in the car. And then we let loose with stunned amazement, overwhelmed with what we had just experienced, the wonder, the struggles, the endurance, the honesty. On November 14th, 1997, Working Traditions century-old craftsmanship in Maine, opened with a reception at the Visual Arts Center at Bowdoin College, on to the Maine State House and a reception for the businesses with Governor Angus King. Then Eastport and UMaine in Orono. It traveled for a year, and so did we with it. In between, we met interesting people, many of whom were curious about who these two young women were. We explored using the pages of the giant Maine Atlas. We laughed and talked and imagined, all the while we knew that the mysteries of Maine can be heard, as Cornelia wrote, in the, quote, vibrant silences. This is the poster that you had made.
That's great.
And this man,
She's a good
this
photographer.
This is a company that went back to 1628, and he made, it's a special way that he did it, making clapboards. I can't explain it, but it's not the way they're done now. And he can make them 8 feet long, and I don't know, he's since died, but he became a very good friend with Cornelia.
Good. What's she doing now?
That's another story. It's a long story.
Did she make a book of these photos?
Well, sort of, but not. She wanted to, and I regret that I didn't force it, but that's the way I am as a mother. I don't do that. So it should have been done. But it's right there. I mean, a lot's written, and all the photographs are there. But it just takes a little, it pulls it together, which I've been trying to help her with. She did end up actually somewhat influenced by this man to go to divinity school. So that was an important part of her life, and he was just a wonderful, wonderful person. But for me, you know, I met all these people, but just one last thing. I remember we went back to some, I can't remember the company, but we went back, and Cornelia spoke with somebody again, and the person she spoke to said he had absolutely no memory of me. And I thought that was just what I wanted. I was absolutely in the background. And it was just a wonderful experience. Anything else?
Do you remember his name?
This, Donnell, Richard Donnell. Anyway, isn't it just wonderful?
Yes.
Thank you.
Be sure to introduce yourself.
Yes, all right. Good afternoon, everybody. If you don't know me, my name's Nate, and I have the privilege of being one of the ministers here. Tucker finally convinced me to tell a story this year, and I thought I like to tell stories when I preach, but I thought I would share one that I'm never going to share over there up in the pulpit. And I'll just say as a preamble, maybe you've heard of some of these legends, or maybe they're real true stories of like someone who was on the Civil War battlefield and they had a little Bible in their pocket, and they got shot, and it saved their life. So just keep that in mind. So here's my story. So back when my grandparents were alive, we would often go and visit them in suburban Milwaukee. Shout out anybody else from the Midwest here. My whole family's from the Midwest. And so we'd spend a lot of time there in the summers, and it was not the most exciting place to be. And so my brother and I would often, after a few days, seek out something to do. And the place we went to most often was this par 3 golf course nearby. They had a driving range and then a par 3 course that you could play. It was kind of divided right in the middle. You could do drives on one side, and then you could play par 3. And there's a big kind of mesh net in between, higher than you would think, higher than would ever be needed to stop a ball from crossing. So we're on the par 3 course, playing well, having fun, getting 6s or 7s. And we're on the hole that's closest to the big mesh net. And I'm on the green watching my brother putt. And I feel this sharp pang in my leg, in my upper inner thigh. And I have to kind of flinch like this. And I look down and I see another golf ball, right on the ground next to me. And I reach in my pocket and I get my phone out, and my phone is completely smashed, completely destroyed. And I was in divinity school, so I was working on these sort of peaceful confrontations of people. We don't shy away from conflict, but we address it head on in a peaceful, mature way. So I'm like, Sam, we gotta go over to the driving range and see who hit this ball like a terrible hook, right, to get it over the mesh. And there's 5 or 6 men on their tees, just looking straight ahead, and they do not give me the time of day. And we go and finish the course, but grateful for my phone that allowed me to continue, and grateful for my beautiful children that exist now. And, it's just, you never know. So I don't carry a Bible with me, but this is a moment of some kind of intervention. Any follow-up questions? Okay.
I too have hit on the driving range, because I'm no golfer at all, a ball that goes over the net.
Yes, it might have been him.
Didn't hit anybody, but there were some people walking down and who saw it land in front of them, and I wasn't quick enough to just look away and be unconcerned. I sat there staring at them like an idiot.
I will point out that many commentators say that the cell phone is the modern version of the Bible.
Okay, I am Travis Rowland, a 3 to 4 year member of the church, and father of Cam and Maddie, who you see in the choir and church or Christmas play, and to Lindsay, the 7-time Lincoln League co-ed softball MVP. This is where he clapped. Given the weather, the cold, the snow, I think we all want to get away right now and travel somewhere. So I'm going to take you guys on a journey to Europe to escape our reality right now. And this is the year is 1995. Hated my job, so I'm like, I'm just going to quit and backpack Europe. My itinerary was pretty ambitious. It's about 10 countries in about 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks, followed by a week with some family in Germany. Starting in Helsinki, which I don't need to get back to anytime soon, stormed through Scandinavia. And every time we go on trips, we have these hiccups or these sort of signature moments that we always recall and remember. And I had about 10 of these. I'm going to talk about maybe 4 of them. And this was a fantastic trip. I give Tucker's right arm to do this trip over again. Everything's going fine. I'm on a shoestring budget. I'm solo, which means I can go anywhere I want, but there's nobody to really protect myself. So I'm sleeping with one eye open in cheap hotels and train stations and things. And my first really sort of signature moment came in Paris. After walking the entire city, I'm exhausted, and I'm getting ready to get on the train to go to Switzerland. And this little girl came up to me with her mom and her sister, I guess you call them gypsies, and she was begging for something, I guess money. I just bought this beautiful baguette. I'm really looking forward to eating. And I offered it to her. She took it. This is a 9-year-old girl. She spit it, or she took a bite out of it and spit it at me. That was her. Thank you. So, okay, that's the first time that that's ever happened before. Get down to Switzerland, beautiful train ride to Austria, beautiful lakes, and then my favorite city is actually Salzburg. And does this come up at all? In Salzburg, now I am exhausted. I just climbed up to the castle. I'm really on just limited funds. I'm just trying to get by. And this is before the euro came out, so I have like 10 currencies in my pocket with 10 different exchange rates. I'm like mentally gone. And I'm thinking about going to Budapest, and we're not really sure, but then all of a sudden, like these neo-Nazis stormed into the train station and started beating up people, like solo travelers. I'm like, I'm on that next train. But it goes through Zagreb, Croatia. This is 1995, there happened to be a war going on. So I saw a war for the first time, and that was quite the experience. Actually, I got sort of arrested because back then you needed a visa to go to Croatia, which I didn't know. So I found out the hard way through a Zagreb police station that I need a visa. So I had to buy one there, get out of there, go to Budapest. Sort of the Cold War just ended. There's a lot of stuff going on there. And you're offered, as soon as you get off the train, you're offered just about anything you want. And so I learned that Buda is Buda River Pest. I got chased from Buda across the river to Pest because somebody wanted to sell me counterfeit money. So I gave him a $50 real American note for 100 fake American dollars back, and he did not take no for an answer. So I got him shaped really quick there. Up to Berlin, now it gets really strange. I'm at the famous Brandenburg Gate, and looking around, and this family comes up to me. It's a grandmother, her daughter, and a grandson. The grandmother is trying to get me to marry her daughter right there and move him back to America, or move him to America. I'm like, no, thank you. After that, so I don't have time to get into everything, but I will say that when I joined the Navy years later, I went for my top secret clearance, and they sit you down, they interview you, they ask you every country that you've been to. They're asking me, why were you in Zagreb, Croatia in 1995 during a war? I'm like, and they call you back 3 times. You have to repeat the same exact story 3 times to get it right, make sure you're not making things up. So it almost cost me my career in the Navy, but it was worth it. I'd do it again. And yeah, I'm no Jack Kerouac, but that's the closest I'll ever get. So that was a good time. Any questions?
Hey, Jimmy Lemire?
I thought it was at 5.
A little late. That's all right.
Those of you who were here for the last, Sit Talk Learn, I told you about how Bob and I eloped. But after I spoke, several people came up to me and said, well, what's the rest of the story? So here's the rest of the story.
Can you speak in the mic?
Yes. So here's the rest of the story. You may remember that I had fallen in love with this guy, but he was a different religion than me, and we finally broke up. I went home to Iowa to lick my wounds, and when I came back that very night, he came to the apartment and wanted to be buzzed up. Fourth floor walk up. As he rushed up the stairs and I went out on the balcony, he yelled out, "Will you marry me Saturday?" And I yelled back, "Yes!" Here's the rest of the story. He really meant Saturday. It was a limited invitation. How do you get married in 4 days, with 4 days' notice? How do you do that? I mean, in those days you'd have had a blood test for syphilis, remember? None of you remember that. You had to have a license several days before you could get married. You had to have somebody to marry you. You might want to go away for a little trip afterwards, and you might want someplace to live after you got married. Well, somehow that all fell in place. My Bob had a wonderful roommate who got us a justice of the peace. I went after work to buy a new dress at Stearns in downtown Boston.
bought a lavender wool dress that I still have, and I can almost fit in. We went to Harvard Square to a silversmith, ordered our rings, and they would be ready on Friday. Well, everything seemed to fall in place. So on Saturday morning, September 24th, 1960, Bob came by with his roommate in his almost new two-tone Ford coupe, and my roommate and I got in, and we went to the Fenway in Boston. We went up a couple of flights of stairs to the Justice of the Peace, and he said, well, you three wait, Bob has to have some paperwork. So I found out later that he offered to let Bob out the back door. Just in case it wasn't what Bob wanted. And we had a civil ceremony while the canary played, sang, and we went to the public garden to have a few photos taken. It was a beautiful fall day. And then we went to the Ritz for lunch. And we no more than sat down, then the waiter appeared with this envelope. And I thought, oh, somebody knows we're here. Nobody knows we're here. Did our parents find out? It was from the man I worked for at Harvard Medical School who sent us a bottle of champagne. Then we dropped off our roommates and we went to the telegraph office and sent telegrams to our parents because we knew we wouldn't be reachable for 3 days. So we had a 3-day honeymoon. So you see, you can get married with only 4 or 5 days.
Where did you go on your honeymoon?
We went to Booth Bay Harbor to a couple that here in town that owned a place at Booth Bay, and they invited us out for dinner when we moved to Lincoln, and here we are. We've been members of this church since 1961.
Why doesn't this?
It's, yeah. You just gotta use brute force.
Oh, just
Literally.
Okay.
Brute force.
Well, yeah, but I think this is the broom right here. Oh, here it is. It's right here. All right. Ha-ha. Okay. So and Forrest Van Nest, and I'm going on my 3rd year now as a member, so I'm a oldster now. And I had no intention of giving a story today, but an experience on Friday so moved me, and my small group knows about it because I had to share it with them because we had met the previous Tuesday. It's just amazing how a tiny, tiny act of kindness can have such profound effects. It makes me teary to even think of what happened. So there I am at Market Basket. I'm doing my shopping, getting ready to check out. You know, you come around where the freezer aisle is, and I avoided the ice cream. It's best, discipline. And there's this tiny, tiny little Chinese woman and her elderly, little tiny father. And I hear her saying, who does this? Who puts things up so high that nobody can reach them? And anybody who's tall has always been asked, can you help me? And I didn't even have to be asked. I just inserted myself right in there, and it was a very easy reach for me, although I have to say, it was really up there. And I got it, and she was very nice and thanked me, and he cried.
Oh.
But that's not the end of the story. So I'm getting down to the checkout line, and he comes up and takes my arm, and he said, you've been sent by God to help me. And I thought, well, because I knew I almost parted the Red Sea. I knew I had almost, they made me feel like I'd almost parted the Red Sea, but I thought, well, I really did. Look at me, I'm sent from God. But what he said was he and his daughter were there at the Market Basket to get ice cream and ice cream cones. It was ice cream cones I was getting from atop the freezer. And he said that a member of his family, the mother had just lost an infant, had just died a few days before. And they were getting ice cream and ice cream cones for the children in the family to make them happy. And he said, I've been here 70 years, but I'm 97 and a half. I'm almost 98. He made a couple of times to make sure I knew. 97 and a half. And he said, you have been so kind to us, and I think you have been sent from God.
And so, I'm sprouting wings at this point. I'm like, oh, this is how. And honestly, it was 3 seconds that I just reached up and got that thing, and he came and sought me out to tell me how much it meant to him that somebody helped him, because I was going to help bring happiness to his family. And that was such a tiny, tiny little act, and I think I got way more out of it than he did. But anyway, that's my story. I think it's a nice ending, a nice happy ending to go off and watch football.
Will you go grocery shopping?
Yeah.
I need somebody like you. Oh, gosh. Talk about an act of kindness. Is this wonderful what these people have done for us today? I mean, just in this world of craziness, just to hear these terrific stories of people helping people and girls beating boys. They're all terrific, and I hope it's inspired some of you to speak next month. And I have to say, RL was all prepared to give a talk today, and unfortunately, we weren't able to get the slide projector video going in time. So he will give his in March, and you'll have that to look forward to. So I'm sorry we couldn't do it today. But thank you all for coming, and go Pats.
Everybody has a story.
I have some pictures of the hunting
Weapons trying to get your child home now. Take the time. Appreciate it. My favorite friend here says, oh, maybe another cable in a box inside the closet up on the top shelf. That doesn't do anybody any fucking good. I mean,
now you gotta chase it down. I don't think it's your computer.
It's here. It's not my computer. Oh, okay. I'm gonna test it right now, but it just seems to me that you keep it cabinet.
Yeah, well, they're protecting it. You gotta throw that one away.